As a professional club fitter, I get to work with some of the best equipment golf has to offer on a day-to-day basis. And as you saw from the title of the video, I'm not on contract or on staff with any company. That means I can play whatever clubs, ball, bag, and just other equipment that I want with no repercussions. And this puts me in a unique spot because most of the club fitters that I know are on contract or are on staff with somebody, so they do have to play a certain company's clubs. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over everything that I have in my bag, from clubs to the ball I play, to the gloves I use, to the towel I use, to the bag I use, and give you not only what's in my bag, but also some of my more underrated or underappreciated clubs and balls and equipment that's in the game of golf right now. Now, if you notice, my bag is pretty full right now. There are a lot more than 14 clubs in here. That's because there are some areas where clubs are battling it out, mostly putter, driver, and 3-wood. So I will take you through that step by step. Here we go. So we're gonna start out with the top end of the bag, starting with the old and the new drivers. The driver we played all of last year was the Callaway AI Smoke Triple Diamond. We had a 10.5 degree head set to 9.5 degrees, and the weights, we had the heavyweight back and the lighter weight forward for a little bit more forgiveness and maybe a little bit more spin, because I tend to be a lower spin player. As far as shaft, we had the Link White in 70 gram extra stiff. And then moving on to this year's driver, we have the QI35 Max. So I was really surprised with TaylorMade's offering this year. The QI35 Max, it is a 10K MOI head, so it's very, very, very forgiving. But I found that in my testing, when I was going through all the testing of all the new heads that we got in, this one was spinning, you know, wildly low for a super forgiving head. My average spin was about 2,200 to 2,300 RPMs with driver, which for me is about optimal. If anything, I would like to see it even a little bit higher. I found sometimes with the old driver, it would be too low and it would kind of knuckle a little bit too much, which is great for distance. The potential for distance was so high with this one, but the forgiveness factor just wasn't as much as I would like to see. But yeah, we have the QI35 Max in a 9 degree head, and it is set all the way to lower, because if you guys don't know this, the QI35 Max and Core head, when you have them in the standard loft sleeve, when you set them on the ground, they're gonna sit a little bit closed. So for me, I had to lower the loft all the way down to get that face to sit open. Not even open, just square, just to suit my eye a little bit more. So yeah, 9 degree head, lofted to 7 degrees, and then shaft. We have the Pro Force V2, again, 70 gram extra stiff. I like that it's not quite as board-like as the old one, as the Link that I was using. Same grip, I got the Z cord mid-size on there with a couple extra wraps of tape under the bottom hand. You know, grip's totally a personal preference. That's just personally what I like. I've taken it out twice so far this year on course. I've liked it for the most part. There's a little bit of weird right miss that I wasn't seeing inside that is kind of coming into play outside. So I might, you know, play around with the settings a little bit, play around with the weights maybe a little bit, but I'm liking it so far for the most part. No complaints from me. Then we move into 3-woods, and this is an area in my bag that is completely up for grabs right now. Right now, I have a high lofted Paradigm Triple Diamond Tour issue head that I really like. It's set to 16 degrees. So for me, one of the biggest things that I want in a 3-wood is one that launches high. I'm a pretty low launch, low spin player. So for me, I find that sometimes a 3-wood can go a little bit too far. And if I need to hit it into a par 5 and spin it, I can't do that. So that's where I think that high loft head really comes into play. It's 16 degrees instead of the traditional 15 or even 14.5 nowadays. But I'm really liking it so far. Just I find that sometimes it gets a little bit too spinny and can kind of balloon up in the air for me. So if I hit it off the tee, it doesn't go quite as far as I'd like it to go. Then option number 2 is going to be the TaylorMade QI10 Tour 3-wood with the weight set all the way back to make it as spinny as possible. And this one for me has the opposite problem, to where even when I have that weight set all the way to the back, sometimes it just comes out with just no spin, it just knuckles and it goes forever, which off the tee is great. But if I ever needed to hit it into a par 5, I wouldn't have a ton of confidence that this would spin and have any prayer of holding the green. Which obviously there are things that I can do in my swing to hopefully fix that this year. But I have struggled to find kind of a happy medium between these two as far as gear that I like. I'm probably gonna lean towards the Paradigm, but you know, we'll see, time will tell. Let me know which one you guys would play. So moving into my first iron, it is gonna be a driving iron from Srixon. It's a ZXIU 3 iron. Now the standard loft is gonna be 20 degrees. I have it bent down to 18 degrees, and I also have it bent flat 2 degrees. So for me, I want a 3-iron to be very workable. I wanna be able to manipulate it. I wanna be able to turn it over off the tee. I wanna be able to hit high spinny ones into par 5s. I want it to really be a do-it-all club. So for me, the shaft that does that best is gonna be the Graphite Design DI 95 gram extra stiff shaft. I found that, you know, for me, it's a higher launch, higher spin shaft in general, but I found that I can really hit high soft cuts with it. Now moving into the rest of the irons, I have what I believe are some of the most underrated irons from the most underrated company in golf, Srixon. I have the ZX7 Mark IIs from last year in 4-iron all the way down to pitching wedge. So as a club fitter, I got to come back here in our hitting bay, in our fitting studio, and fit myself for irons. We have Titleist, Ping, Cobra, Callaway, Mizuno, TaylorMade, Srixon, Cleveland. So we pretty much have every iron that you know I could possibly want to test, and I found the Srixon are definitely some of the best irons in the game right now. So for me, one of my main misses is going to be low toe on the face, and I found that it might have just been a hot spot on this face, but my low toe misses went a lot less punished than some of the other irons that I tested. As far as shafts, I have the Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100 shafts in all of my irons. I absolutely love them. I think I said this in the driver, but I like my shafts to feel pretty board-like, even in irons. Like, I don't want to feel much flex at all in my irons. That's just going to be a feel thing from person to person. Personally, that's what I like. You might not like that, so you might want to go with something with a little bit more feel. But for me, these shafts do the job, and they do them really well. Now moving on to gap and sand wedge, we have RTX 6s from Cleveland in a 50 degree and a 56 degree bent to a 55 degree. Now once again, I have clubs that fall under the Srixon Cleveland umbrella, but I will say this, as far as wedges go in today's game, it's really just gonna be your personal preference. Now certainly there's some wedges that are gonna outperform others, but a lot of it's gonna come down to the looks and feel and what you prefer personally. So for me, I like keeping things uniform if I can throughout the bag, but also I really like the milling that the RTX, or just the Cleveland wedges in general, have on the toe. And I really like that to look down on. It gives me a lot of confidence, especially when I open up the club face. So for me, that was one of the main reasons that I went with these wedges over some others. But as far as some other wedges that I think you guys should take a look at, the S159s from Ping are incredible. They're awesome. I think they're probably my most underrated wedge on the market right now. And then I really like the MG4s as well from TaylorMade. Then obviously you have your Vokeys and your Opuses as well. Those are also incredible wedges. But for me, I would say I really like Cleveland wedges, and I really think the Ping S159's super underrated. Now moving on to lob wedge, and this is something that I ordered special from Cleveland, and I will say I've only used it once outside, but it might be my new favorite club in the bag. It's gonna be the new Tour Rack RTZ wedge from Cleveland. It's gonna be raw, so it will rust over time, which I really like the look of personally. You might not, I really do. I got it paint filled. I got my stamping on it. I got a custom ferrule. I got a black shaft. I went the whole 9 yards with it. The reason I went with red is because I need to convince myself that with the wedge in my hands, I should be making birdies. I should be going into the red numbers. That's just why I went with red. I think it looks good. I think it turned out great, but I cannot say how much I like this wedge. Now getting into the most polarizing part of the bag, we're gonna talk about putters. So last year I gamed for pretty much the whole season a Toulon San Diego, which is gonna be an Odyssey Toulon design putter. It's gonna be a pretty classic blade shape. I love it. I love the way it sits behind the ball. I rolled it really good. The milling is super soft, which I like. I wanna feel a little bit softer face on my putter, and that did the job really well. I did also pick up a Spider Tour counterbalance putter, and I will say I haven't actually rolled this one outside yet, so I cannot attest to how I feel about it just yet. Stay tuned. I'm sure I will putt with it in a video upcoming. But yeah, I also have that. And finally, after working here and being able to kind of putt around with a bunch of different putters, I was convinced finally to pick up a L.A.B. I went with the DF2. And listen, I didn't pick it up because it looks good. I picked it up because the technology is pretty hard to argue with, and the results have kind of spoken for themselves so far this year. So our bodies perceive torque as weight, So these are gonna be 0 torque putters, so they're gonna feel a little bit lighter, even though they might not actually be lighter than the putters we're currently using. With that being said, that sometimes can cause us to leave putts short when we first start putting with them. And that's exactly what happened to me. The first round I played with it, I left a bunch of putts short that I felt like I weren't gonna be short. But after I got that down, after I got that speed control down a little bit better, I've never putted this well. And I've never been a terrible putter. I've never been a great putter, but I've had a couple rounds this year that I've had sub 28 putts, which was unheard of last year for me. So I really, really like this thing so far. So yeah, I would say try one out for yourself, and that's probably what's gonna be in the bag for the majority of the videos that you're gonna see me film. Now let's talk about the part of the bag that has switched the absolute most for me last year, and I mean really this year too. I still have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do, and that is the golf ball. So I've tested a bunch of different golf balls last year on course and just in the simulator, and I still haven't found one that I absolutely love and that I'm gonna stick with, but I have 3 main options going into this season. Number 1 is gonna be the Pro V1X Left Dash, which is gonna be the lowest launching, lowest spinning variation of the Pro V1 family. The characteristics are kind of perfect for me in my golf swing, as it spins pretty low with driver. And for me, the last thing that I want with a wedge is for it to rip back. You know, I land one 5 feet from the pin and it rips back 20 feet. And all of a sudden I have 25 feet for birdie instead of, 5 feet when I feel like I hit my number. So the Pro V1X Left Dash should be a little bit lower spinning to hopefully stop that from happening. And so far, from my testing, that's pretty much what's happened. I really like it so far. The only thing that I kind of sacrifice with the Left Dash is the feel off the putter. I really want a ball that feels maybe not super, super soft, but I don't like the feel of a super firm ball, and the Pro V1 Left Dash is definitely a more firm golf ball, which I don't like off the putter face. Number 2 is gonna be the Srixon Z-Star XV. It's kind of the same thing as the Left Dash as far as ball flight characteristics go. It's gonna be the lowest launching, lowest spinning variation in the Z-Star series from Srixon. I tested it out a little bit last year. I really liked it with driver, and the main draw for me is that it feels a lot softer off the putter face and off of, touchy-feely, chippy wedges. And I know I said I think they're the most underrated brand for irons. I also think that they're the most underrated brand for golf ball as well. I think the Z-Star series has something for everybody. The Z-Star Diamond, and the Z-Star XV are such a good trifecta of golf balls. Then the third option is gonna be the Bridgestone Tour BX. Again, the characteristics are pretty similar to the other two. Personally, what I found with that ball is that around the greens, it's maybe my favorite ball I've ever played. I felt like I got more grab on my chips with that ball compared to the other two, and also I love the way it rolls on the green. I don't know what it is, just personally I think I just like the B stamp in the middle instead of the lines, or instead of the script writing, but just personally I love the way it rolls on the greens. So we'll see, hopefully I can pick one of those 3 to kind of stick with and run with throughout the year. I'm kind of leaning the Z-Star XV right now, but that could change in 2 days, who knows. I use a Titleist towel, not that matters. I use a Bushnell rangefinder that I really like. It doesn't have slope. Get one with slope if you want. Doesn't really matter for me. I don't have one with slope. And then I have a Stitch golf bag, which I absolutely love. It's all the leather. It's really easy to keep it clean. Well, not keep it clean, but it's really easy to clean it because it is leather. So love the bag, love the towel, love the rangefinder. That's just kind of the accessories that I have on my bag. And then the last thing that technically isn't part of the bag, but it is something that I use every single round, and that is the ball marker. So one of the reasons I love this job is that I get to meet really cool people from all different walks of life, different lines of work. And one of the people that I fit last year was a warden at the Philadelphia prison, or one of the Philadelphia prisons, I'm not sure which one. But yeah, he came in, he had just retired, and he gave me this ball marker when he came back and picked up his clubs then. It says Department of Justice on the one side, and then it says Office of the Inspector General on the other side. I love it. It was one of the cooler gifts I've ever gotten from somebody I fit. So shout out to that guy. I still use your ball marker that you gave me every single round. I know the ball marker or the divot fixer is something that is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. So let me know if you guys have a special one. If you do, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I love hearing stories like that. So yeah, let me know. And that is my what's in the bag for the year. Everything is subject to change. I think some of the stuff is probably safe for now. but we'll see as time goes on. Guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see a video where I actually use these clubs on the course, there will be a video linked in the description of me playing 9 holes trying to break par. It's a new series I'm doing, so make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on that. And until next time, peace out.